The work of these committees was presented to the summit, opening very intensive discussions, both in our plenaries and the breakaway groups. Now, throughout all these discussions, a central theme emerged, and it is undeniable that South Africans, in all our diversity, are unified on this very one plea to our government that all we want is justice. What that looks like may vary, of course, but the fact remains that we in South Africa have not enjoyed the social and economic justice that our democracy promised. Now, there is a widespread sense of unfairness and injustice that must be addressed. And this extends to all aspects of life in our country, from land to crime, from education to the chance of earning an income. I will not go into detail this morning on the IFP's policies, for the process of review is not yet complete. So suffice it to say, ladies and gentlemen, that we have addressed all the priority issues, including land reform, and have been guided by our values and the interests of all South Africans. For those of you who are not familiar with the IFP's core values, although I cannot imagine that relates to anyone in this room, those values are integrity, freedom, and unity in diversity and solidarity. Now, based on these discussions, during our Policy Review Committee, a set of policies on the 5 key areas is being finalized for completion within the next 3 weeks. In the meantime, our structures will be advised of a public participation process that will take these policies into communities for debate. We encourage all South Africans to engage with this process. We don't want to pontificate to our people. We want to do what our people want us to do for them as their servants. It is not only for the rank and file of our members, but everyone, because the policy of the IFP will provide solutions that meet the needs of all South Africans. So we want to steer the national discourse away from inflammatory rhetoric and get people talking about real solutions. Now, the input we receive from this public participation I'm referring to will inform the finalization then of our policies. We believe we have a great product to share with South Africans, but we want to hear from the people themselves, the people that we serve, how it can be tweaked to become the best possible blueprint for social and economic justice. Our finalized policies will then be taken to the National Council of our party, to be endorsed for presentation to the National General Conference of our party, and once conference has deliberated and adopted these policies, the IFP will run with it all the way to 2019. The IFP believes that an opportunity exists to rescue our country from the brink of disaster. If people's needs are not first right now, if we don't do what is needed immediately, it will be decades before the present damage can in fact be put right. Tragically, this government is creating a legacy of poor decisions that are causing increased hardship and suffering rather than solving the problems. One such poor decision is the implementation of fuel levies, which has been highlighted by the IFP through our representative on the left of Mr. Stengo on behalf of all struggling South Africans. I noticed that some people have snatched it from Mr. Stengo and they're running with it now, but actually it was raised by us. We have had an overwhelming response, in fact, to our fight to suspend fuel levies, which has prompted the IFP to call for a national day of action. My colleague, the Honorable Mr. Stengo, will tell you more, ladies and gentlemen, more about what I've just said. And I wish merely to thank you again for your presence and participation, for your patience with me. We will, of course, welcome questions once Mr. Stengo and Mr. Singh have spoken. And I'm sure you are eager to ask more about the IFP's campaign, particularly when there is so much enthusiasm for our electoral success in the wake of consistent by-election victories. Let me tell you that this enthusiasm is high within our own structures. We believe the IFP can make a serious impact in the coming elections, and we intend to honor our commitment to providing the best possible solutions to actually save the country from disaster. I would like to to thank you and ask our national spokesman to speak.
And thank you very much, Your Excellency. As has been indicated, South Africa is on the brink of collapse. And one of the things which is collapsing the country, of course, is the increase in fuel levies and the fuel prices. There will be a fuel hike tomorrow. There have been 6 fuel hikes already this year. There was a fuel levy increase of 52 cents earlier on. There was a VAT increase.
So should you not come and sit here?
No.
I don't mind.
Huh? We'll just move the microphone to Excellency. You're not worried about this one.
Thank you. So maybe to just start afresh, that the IFP is concerned about the escalating fuel prices. There was a fuel levy increase in April of 52 cents. There was a VAT increase, and there have been 6 fuel price increases this year already. Tomorrow there's another fuel hike, which is on the cards, taking the price of petrol to over 16 rands, which is unprecedented in South Africa. The ripple effects of that will be increase in the cost of food, increase in the cost of traveling, and producers are going to pass on that cost to already struggling South Africans. We wrote to the Speaker of the National Assembly in terms of Rule 131 of the National Assembly rules, asking as a matter of urgency to place this matter before Parliament. She refused point blank to do so, which, as far as we are concerned, was an irrational decision on her part. We have called on the President of the Republic to present a relief package to South Africans on how we're going to deal with this. That has not happened. So we are dealing with a government that is not responsive. Our call is very simple. South Africans pay levies to the tune of about 5 rands 30 per litre. And we are calling for a suspension of this indirect and regressive tax until such time that the global prices of petrol have stabilized, as a relief package for South Africans. So that would affect the general levy and the road accident fund. And so then the question is, but then what happens to the road accident fund? Well, on top of that, we are calling for a full-scale forensic investigation into the road accident fund, because their finances are upside down, mismanagement, and expenditure which guns against the grain of the PFMA. So this is an opportune moment for us to relook at the structure of the road accident fund. So we want a suspension of the fuel levies. It's not negotiable. South Africans are struggling. And secondly to that, we are embarking on a national petition where our structures in the IFP are going to be visiting households, people in taxi ranks, and everywhere across the length and breadth of this, to collect signatures for South Africans to add their voice, to call on government to provide this relief package. On the 30th of August, we've got a National Day of Action. And we are calling on South Africans to demonstrate in whatever way possible their dissatisfaction at a government, one that is not listening, but secondly, to endorse the call for the fuel levies to be suspended. This is about the people, the poorest of the poor. And as His Excellency has said, some people have decided to snatch this in a rush job because they are in the pursuit of sound bites. We are not doing this as a popularity contest. We are concerned about the collective sustainable livelihoods of South Africans. Then the question becomes, how do you then plug the hole which will be opened by the suspension of these fuel levies? Well, it is high time that it is government that tightens its belt, as opposed to saying South Africans must tighten their belt. They've tightened their belts too much. There's not much more that South Africans can do now. We've got the highest number of foreign missions in the world as South Africa, and the cost of running those embassies is too high. So this is an opportune moment for government to begin rationalizing our foreign missions. We are calling for public-private interventions, partnerships into our SOEs. We are saying within the current budget, there is enough money to maneuver to offset what may have been lost to the fiscus because of the suspension of fuel levies. And it was precisely for that reason why we were calling on the Speaker of Parliament to have this debate, because we wanted an opportunity for Parliament, one, to discuss it, two, for government to present a relief package, but most importantly, for Parliament to set into motion a process of adjusting the budget, because it's Parliament that passes the budget. And so then to wait it out and then seek to redirect it to other funny processes and say, well, it is a government response. When will Parliament take its rightful place as the representative of the people? So we are going to add more pressure to the Speaker to have this discussion, and for portfolio committees in the budgetary review process to begin tweaking the budgets of departments to actually respond to this call. So we are calling on all South Africans, whether you support the IFP or don't support the IFP, this is not about the IFP, that on the 30th of August, let us, united in our diversity and united as South Africans, send a strong message that we cannot be taxed beyond what we are being taxed right now. This indirect levy is regressive and is not in the interest of the people. You've already seen, just here in Durban, commuters have told taxi operators that they are unable to pay more than what they are paying now. So if you increase, because the likelihood is, I know that yesterday the announcement was that it's an increase of 1 cent. An increase is an increase. So we want a suspension of this 5 rands 30 with immediate effect so that we can assist South Africans cope. The cost of food is going up, the cost of traveling is going up, taking children to school is going up. We need to begin to be sensitive and we need to be pragmatic about our interventions. And one of those interventions is the suspension of these fuel levies. So South Africans, we are calling upon them to sign the petition and to join the National Day of Action, and we are going to be calling on all stakeholders in the transport sector, in the agriculture sector, the manufacturing sector, your wholesalers who all have to bear the brutal brunt of these fuel increases at the various points of transaction, that enough is enough and the time has come for government to tighten its own belt as opposed to expecting citizens to do more than what they are doing now. Thank you very much.
No, you'll have to get it to the system. Just pause it on.
Mama phone.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and our national spokesperson, Honorable Hlengwa. As indicated by our President, the IFP undertakes policy reviews every 5 years. And we determine policy on all the portfolios that we engage in national and provincial government and even at local government level. But once every 5 years, we engage in the process of reviewing those policies so that we can take into account current challenges that South Africans are facing, look at contemporary issues, and see how we need to tweak our policies to keep up with what is happening in South Africa at this moment in time.